Okay, so today we're going to talk about knee ligament tears. ACL, PCL, MCL, LCL, but obviously the most common one is ACL. The ACL tear rates and then the re-tear rates after that are so high, especially in women's football, but in men's football as well. And I'm going to go through some of the reasons today of why this actually is, what my theory is about it, and then also what we can actually do, what the solution would be. So I actually suffered from tears myself. I'm diagnosed for some of them, and some of them were the Lockman test for the ACL, but again, didn't have an MRI on it because this was years after my first surgery for my snapped kneecap and meniscus. So I wasn't even like thinking about having another surgery. I was like, there's no way I'm going to touch another thing like that because of all the trauma that I went through and the trauma after. But now my knee is completely fine. I can play football whenever I want. I have no pain in my knee whatsoever. So then it comes to the point of like, what did I do and what have I helped so many other people to do to be able to stop this from happening? We don't address medical conditions specifically. What we do is focus on knee ability. And when we get someone that has some kind of issue like this, we make sure that they go see their physio, make sure that they work with their doctor, so they're actually having constant checkups. And we're seeing like the physios are telling us the results that are coming from the training that they're doing with us is so fast. And some of the physio have literally been like, what on earth are you doing to be able to get these results this fast? So it's not just about how quick it is, because even if someone is strong enough to come back, I would say wait a little bit longer so that you can stay back and like, stay strong rather than just get back quickly. We're looking at a return to sport where you stay there rather than just a return to sport where you get there quickly and then it happens again. But the main two reasons are going to be weakness and imbalance is what we are seeing over and over again. And this weakness in the knees specifically comes from a few different quotes I've written down here. So the first one is no knees over toes. In 1978, there was a study published which said when your knee goes over your toe, there's pressure on your knee. At this point of time, this should have been like, yes, amazing, we've found out how to strengthen our knees. But it was interpreted by the wrong people, and those people then interpret it as it's bad to put your knees over your toes. But who said pressure was bad? When you put pressure on something, it actually grows stronger if it's applied at the right level and then progressed over time. So then we turn to not putting our knee over toe, even though this is a position that we find so much in sport, and actually the best athletes that we see, the most protective athletes, have the most knee over toe. If you look at Lionel Messi, one of the best footballer of all time, his VMOs are massive because he's such a knee over toe athlete. He's literally going on every single cut. His knee is so far over his toe. His ankle mobility is crazy. His lateral ankle mobility is crazy. And that comes to the point that I want to say. So it's like, we know that with a lack of ankle mobility and also a lack of ability to go a knee over toe, this then means that our knees are going to be so much weaker and the ligament tears are more likely to happen. The second thing then is like no deep knee bends. So when we're in deep knee bends, there's actually a study. I'm going to put up the extract of it here, but it analyzed so many studies, like a meta-analysis, and showed that deep squats don't actually contribute to injuries as previously suggested, but actually they increase the resilience against injury. And that's paraphrasing it, but again, I'm going to put the thing up on the screen so that we can actually see that. So then it's like, because we're avoiding deep knee bends, we're avoiding getting synovial fluid into the knee, we're avoiding passively strengthening the connective tissues. I was told that I couldn't really do anything about my actual knee and the ligaments and the joints inside my knee. All I could do is strengthen the muscles around my knee and see what helps. But the connective tissue inside the knee has the same anabolic properties as your muscles do, but they just grow slower, but they grow stronger. Your tendons, your ligaments, stuff adapts slower than muscles, but over time they can actually be stronger than muscles can. So second one, deep knee bends. We're not strengthening our knee over our toe, we're not putting pressure on it, and we're not using our actual capacity for the full knee bends. If you look at Chinese weightlifters, they have the biggest VMOs and their knees are the most healthy. And actually, if someone has knee pain, they actually put more of a slant. So they give more pressure to the knee, actually strengthen it even more if someone says they're dealing with knee pain. Then third thing is, there's this thing that says like footballers shouldn't strength train, right? So it's all about skill, like you shouldn't strength train this and that. And Charles Poliquin, one of our mentors, actually says like football is 20-30 years behind because of this fact. So if we're not strengthening our tissues, our muscles, our connective tissues inside the gym, when we then get into our sport, our tissues are going to be so much more susceptible to injury, and knee ligament tears, whatever injury in general, is going to happen more and more. We see as people are strength trained, the injury rates go down and down and down, but properly strength trained, not in the way that we're doing now, which the way we are doing now is imbalance. So if we go to the second thing here, so first we have the weakness of like, we don't have strong enough ligaments, we don't have strong enough knees, we don't have strong enough muscles around the knees. But then it's like, even if we do to a certain extent in some areas, we're so imbalanced. So there's a few things that we know. We know that in people that have different tears in their knees, that it's more likely to occur if their hamstring to quad ratio is off, and this is often the case. The second thing that we know is that 7 times more money is spent on how to learn about acceleration than it is about deceleration. And the ACL tears don't happen when you're accelerating, when you're building up the speed. They happen when you're turning, pivoting, slowing down. That's usually when an ACL tear occurs. So we're more building our accelerators than we are building our decelerators. That's the second point. And the third point is triple extension versus triple flexion. So triple extension means ankle extension, knee extension, and hip extension. We're training these so much more than triple flexion. So triple flexion is then tib raises, triple flexion is then knee flexion, and triple flexion is then hip flexion. So we're training out of balance here. I've never seen anyone in the gym, except for me, all the times I've been, train their hip flexors. I've never seen anyone training Nordic, but I have seen people training deadlifts, squats, trap bar deadlifts, Olympic lifts, all this stuff where it's triple extension constantly. And then the final thing is, like, we know that the more imbalance you have leg to leg, the more likely you are to have a ligament tear. I think in football, in soccer specifically, if one planting leg is stronger than the other, if there's a major imbalance there, we're so much more likely to have a knee ligament tear. So imagine how many times we're kicking the ball with the foot that we favour and we're planting the other side in the ground over and over again. Like, you think how imbalanced that gets, and then no wonder we're seeing knee ligament tears. And I just want to talk about this as well when it comes to the accelerators versus decelerators and triple extension versus triple flexion. Of, like, if you look at where our ACL attaches from the back of our thigh bone to the front of our shin bone. So then if we're powering up our hips, we're getting super explosive in the hips, but then we're not training our knee flexion at all. We're literally manufacturing ACL tears. I see this over and over. Like, the main kind of exercises that footballers have is trying to increase their vertical, trying to increase their power. I spoke to someone, and we've trained his program around now, so I might have saved his career, to be fair. But his thing, he was like, yeah, my goal is to increase vertical, which is an amazing goal, to be fair. Like, they don't even have that goal really in football. Like, it's just about the skill side of stuff. But okay, cool, increase the vertical. But then the way he was doing that was just trap bar deadlifts, box jumps, and like plyos, which is all high knee positions, which is all short range. So we're just powering up our hips, and yes, you will get faster, you will get a higher vert, because those are the muscles, those are the areas they correlate most with that kind of strength and power. But then if you're not training your body in balance, you're gonna cause an injury. Like, we're literally manufacturing tears. So then it's like, what do we do? Like, most trainers don't even know what structural balance is, or they don't use a structural balance test. Like, every single person that we have inside of our thing goes through structural balance tests, and we can see exactly where the numbers are compared to different areas. If we know where an athlete's strengths and weaknesses are, we can train the areas that are weak, that are strong, in different ways, so that we can actually have their body in balance. The solution in strength is literally just reworking these weaknesses and imbalance, the reasons that they're happening. So if they're saying no knees over toes, what we need to do is train our knees over toes. If they're saying don't do deep knee bends, we need to train our deep knee bends. If they're saying don't strength train, we're saying, okay, this strength train. Then it's like, okay, imbalance, hamstring to quad. Okay, let's do a structural balance test on our hamstring to quad ratio, see what it is, and then get that imbalance. And again, like, when I'm saying balance here, it's not the exact same strength numbers. It's more of a percentage. Like, this is this much and this is this much. And Charles Pollock on left has clues here. We have ATG structural balance tests as well. So we kind of know, okay, this lift should be this lift should be this, but they don't have to be the same weight, depending on the muscle group. So then you have deceleration. It's like, okay, if we're training so much acceleration, we need to then train our deceleration in balance. Triple flexion, and then leg to leg. It's like, if we just literally rework all of this, create our body in balance, and create the strength that we need, then so much good things are going to happen. We can avoid so many ligament tears. If we're training more knee over toe, this means our ankle mobility is going to be better. This means our knees are going to be stronger, so that means we're going to be more protected. If we're training our deep knee bends, more synovial fluid is going to come into the knee, and our connective tissues are literally going to be strengthened. Again, strength train. If we're not even strength training, how are we going to protect against injuries? Hamstring to quads. If our ratio is completely off, there's more likely to have a tear. So it's like, if your quads are super strong and you're still building your quads, like, what are we doing? And the deceleration, it's the same with every single one. It's like, we need to test where we're at, and we do this with all of our clients, we do this with our athletes, of like, okay, let's see where you're actually at. How at risk are you of having a tear, an injury? How resilient are you? So we get them super strong, but we get them super strong in balance. That's like the most important lesson from this. And really, one of the most common missing links I see is the knee flexion. It's like, we get super strong in trap bar deadlifts, the box jumps, and knee flexion is just missed out. People can't do Nordics. People can't even control their body weight down. People aren't doing the leg curls. People aren't training their decelerators, and that's when they have a tear. And these tears ruin so many careers. They either just end it there and you're retired, or you don't get back to the level of sport that you were meant to. So there's stats that I've seen which with the recovery rates, it's like someone who has an ACL tear, about 50% of those people will get back to the level of sport that they were at previously. So if someone was playing in the Premier League and they tear their ACL, only 50% of those people that tear their ACL will get back to where they were in the Premier League. And then out of that 50%, another between 20 and 50% are going to get re-injured either in the same leg or the other leg in the next 1 to 2 years. So the stats are absolutely ridiculous. That comes to around a 25% success rate if we're going off the measurement of we want an athlete back better than where he was before, or just at the same level and not get injured again. So there's clearly something that we are doing wrong. We're not looking at these areas. If we were to look at these areas, the number of ACL tears, the number of different stuff would dramatically go down, in my opinion. Hope this helps. And if you do want any one-on-one coaching from us, we have a link in the description where you can apply. We get like 4 or 5 applications a day, so it might take a few days to get back to you, and we need to see if we're a good fit or not. So if you do want to apply, first link in the description. But I really hope this helps. I'm going to keep putting education out on YouTube